afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second Euroconsumers Forum. Let me introduce myself. I am Ilianis Bernicianu, Communication and Institutional Affairs Director at OCU. First of all, I want to thank you today for your remotely participation. We have thought it is much safer for all of us to have this event in this way due to the current circumstances. We wish the next EC Forum could be physically. After the success of the last year's International Forum, Euroconsumer has converted its second forum into an even more ambitious way, a truly global event, with activities in 5 countries simultaneously and participants around the world. Developed in partnership with leading global market players, the Euroconsumer International Forum features a wide range of speakers, including senior speakers from European institutions and executives from leading global companies, academics from top universities, and members of international consumer organizations. I would like to introduce Euroconsumers. Many of you know OCU and its work in Spain in defense of rights consumers, but perhaps you are unaware of the activity of Euroconsumers, an international group that brings together 5 national consumer organizations and gives voice to a total of more than 1.5 million consumers. Euroconsumer is the world's leading consumer group dedicated to providing innovative information, personalized services, and advocating for consumer rights. Member organizations work to ensure consumer safety, that markets are fair, and they benefit from honest relationships with businesses and authorities. The forum, under the title Approved by Tomorrow for a Sustainable Construction of the Economy, focuses on the role of consumer in the reconstruction of a more sustainable economy. We are having this event simultaneously in 5 cities: Brussels, Rome, Madrid, Lisbon, and Sao Paulo. Our first panel is a very interesting one. We are going to discuss about which are the proposals for the future for a sustainable food in the framework of the circular economy. We are going to debate about the present of food production and distribution, the impact that the coronavirus has been had and will have, and also about the near future, and how the sector can provide consumers with more sustainable food. As you know, the circular economy is a new production and consumption model based on interconnection. This paradigm has evolved and has been affected by different lines of inquiry, systematizing them and partially readapting them to current challenges, developing a new perspective of circularity applied to the economy. At the same time, it is a political, cultural proposal that can be seen as circular and that it is the antithesis of the linear model of produce, consume, and dispose. It requires a different design, new technologies and production processes, as well as much more radical changes in cultural and social relationships. To discuss about it and to offer proposals to consumers and citizens, we have very relevant speakers. First of all, I have to introduce Ms. Adela Torres. Adela is Social Responsibility Manager at Mercadona. Our second speaker is Mr. Pedro Gallardo. Pedro is President of the Alliance for Sustainable Agriculture, ALAS, Vice President of the European Agriculture Professional Association, COPA, and Vice President of Asaja National. And Mr. Herman Granda is the CEO of Foretica. Foretica is an entity whose mission is to promote the integration of social, environmental, and good governance aspects in the strategy and management of companies and organizations, with the aim of achieving a sustainable future. Welcome, very welcome to all of you. First of all, I would like to know Adela. As we have all been able to verify, distribution is one of the essential sectors for society. In their toughest times, you have worked hard, very hard, to provide food for consumers in the pandemic times. How was the distribution, as the main distribution company in Spain, dealt with the coronavirus, and which are the effects of coronavirus been? And how do you think it can affect, coronavirus can affect in the near future? Adela, I think you're mute. Adela, I think you're mute. Or is my problem? I can. Everything is okay with all the speakers? No? I think Adela has a technical problem with the micro. Sorry. Now, Adela, go ahead. No, we have a technical problem with Adela. Perhaps we can pass to another speaker. Meanwhile, we resolve the technical problem in Rome because our techniques are in Rome. Okay, sorry, Adela. Pedro, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. It's okay?
Pedro, okay. Thank you. Yes, your micro is working very well. So, Pedro, meanwhile, we resolve the problems with Adela. Pedro, distribution is an essential sector too, and agriculture too. A sector that is responsible for production food for the 46 million consumers who live in Spain and the 80 million who visited us, and hopefully they can return very soon. We wish, all wish. The first question would be, how has the COVID crisis affected agriculture? Do you think the crisis will have long-term effects?
Thank you very much, Ileana. Thank you very much for the invitation, also for the OKU and your consumers, because I think it's important that the farmers will be here in this forum to talk about how the COVID has affected our business, our agriculture. First, I think our sector, agricultural livestock, is a counter-cyclical sector in the situation of the COVID situation. Also, we have to remember that our sector has already exhibited our resilient character during the crisis economic of 2008. And Spain has been one of the few European countries that haven't had stock problems of the food production. Although there have been replacement problems due to the increase of the food accumulation by citizens, because the situation was really new for all of us. But this is positive situation has been because our sustainable production model, we think we success, is a model that we have promoted from the Alliance for the Sustainable Agriculture, also ALAS, where we have demonstrated that we have warranted that the supply of safe, healthy, and varied food, at of course, at affordable prices. But obviously, our sector has suffered because the canal Oreca channel was closed or limited because we have been affected by the tourists. You said before, Ileana, in Spain we received more than 80 million of tourists. Of course, these two issues has produced losses in certain livestock production. Also in the prices, some prices drop more than 30%, especially in sheep, in goats, and also in beef, and sometimes also in milk. Those prices has affected very negative in our farms. Maybe only some sectors were in positive, maybe orange, because we included more orange in our diet. But another positive point point of view, is the alternative solution for selling our production, because we have increased online sales, but it is still very, very small. And we are able to keep producing our farms under normal and exceptional conditions. We consider that the perception of the farmers has been reinforced, and the change in the trend in positive perception by consumers and the general society. Hopefully, it doesn't change in the future. We are working from Alas to communicate that.
Foretic, I think, has a very interesting approach, and it is the need to include sustainability in the management of all companies. It is the vision of permanence in the market, we think, and although it is not in the short term, I do believe that I think it's very interesting that you give us your opinion about if COVID is the question for all of you, because it's, despite the circumstances, it's a key topic. Is COVID having influence or will have in the management of companies? Herman, can you hear me? It seems that we have another problem with Herman. Herman? It seems that Herman isn't there. We have connection problems. So, Pedro.
Hear you perfectly.
Myself are alone for the moment because we have problems with the other connection. So, continue speaking with you. We would like to know what should the agricultural sector do to provide consumers with more sustainable food. What is your opinion about it?
Thank you, Juliana. Thank you very much for the question. First, I would like to comment what is ALAS, because I referred before, but I didn't say. ALAS is the Alliance for Sustainable Agriculture. It's integrated by professional agricultural organizations such as ASAJA, UPA, COAC, also cooperatives in Spain, FEPEX, and Spanish Association of Conservation Agriculture Soils. We defend a productive and sustainable agriculture model from the 3 points of view: the economy, the social, and of course the environmental. And we consider that the farmer has demonstrated that if we have access to innovation and new technologies, supported always by scientists' evidence from independent European evaluation agencies like EPSA, we can be efficient in productive and take care, of course, of environmental. Here we have some examples I would like to comment. For example, 20 years ago, we produced about 40 tons of wheat per hectare. 40. Nowadays, the figure is about 110 tons per hectare, but also reducing the consumption of water, fertilizers, and other agricultural inputs. So we have demonstrated that we can make more with less. But now we are talking about innovation and technology. Of course, always from the seed to the crop ready to harvest, using precision agriculture based on digitalization, also supporting the use of CRISPR and genetic edition, biotechnology, OGM. By the way, those techniques can be used also to diagnose rapidly COVID-19. And also we support those techniques in plant breeding, because it is important, especially in southern countries of Europe with the climate change. We are affected, of course. And of course, also always protected always by science. We like science criteria. And in ALAS, we are clear that this sense of promoting sustainable agriculture supported is always by science. In fact, we have a scientist committee supporting our thesis.
Thank you, Pedro. It's a very useful and interesting approach and task that Alas is having. I think Herman is able to connect with us. Herman?
Ileana, can you listen to me now? Hello,
Yes,
Ileana?
Herman. No, I am seeing Pedro. I am watching Pedro. Herman, yes, okay. Yes, I think it's okay with you. Sorry for the
Okay.
Herman. I am going to remember to remind you the question. I would like to know if, from your opinion, in your view, is COVID having influence or will have in the management of companies?
So thank you, Ileana. Sorry for these problems of connection. And of course, congratulations for this Euroconsumers International Forum. And I think it's a fantastic initiative. And thank you to, of course, to the global partners, to Amazon, Google, but especially to the Spanish partners, like your organization, OCO, which is a great organization here in Spain, very respected. And of course, also, again, is a big retailer. Very much valued here in Spain by consumers and everyone. So, well, as you mentioned before, Foretica is the sustainability business-led organization here in Spain. We are the partners of CSR Europe and the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. And I think we have an interesting point of view, because we have a network of more than 200 big companies, big organizations here in Spain. And we have followed them during all this period, helping them and witness their behavior during this pandemic, how they are responding. And of course, COVID has an impact. The crisis we have seen in all companies has limited the operations in many businesses. It has had implications on employees, supply chains, cash flows, investor returns. Here in Spain, especially in the touristic sector, it had a very, very strong impact. But at the same time, it highlighted the importance of effective and sustainable continuing. We need to put sustainability in the center of the strategies. I think companies had a strong reaction, or witnessed a strong reaction from different stakeholders, and now they need to accelerate the action, to accelerate the change. Let me show a couple of examples. First is all the issues linked to employees that they are demanding this prioritization of safety and well-being issues, of work-life balance, especially mental health issues linked to technology. So companies now need to think in a very much or better, in a better way, how to respond to the demands of technologies. I think linked to investors, we have seen during this period how environmental, social, and governance, the ESG funds have outperformed their benchmarks, right? So there's an appetite from investors to look for companies that behave responsibly and they have a good sustainability strategies. Same thing with governments. We're seeing it at the beginning, more regulation, the new consumer agenda, also the stimulus packages linked to sustainability. And all these issues, the most important issue that we are debating here now, it's consumers are making more pressure in the company's agendas. Linked to consumers, I think, at least here in Spain, they are becoming more aware of sustainability, of inclusion challenges during this pandemic, and also asking companies how they can contribute or can alleviate them. they are now more interested in sustainability issues. We recently have seen a survey by BCG during the COVID-19, during this period of recovery. It says that 70% of global consumers believe now that it's necessary to consider environmental issues as at least an equal priority with economic ones. I think that's a very strong aspect, and it's going to make the basis of what's going to happen in the following years, because consumers will be watching the moves that companies make to respond to these challenges. They are going to assess their brand engagement, and we'll see that loyalty of consumers is going to be very much linked to these aspects after the pandemic. So it's having an impact now, but what is, I think, more important is going to be it have a bigger impact in the behavior of companies in the near future.
Thank you, Herman. So, listening your speech and your reflection, it seems that it's true that COVID is being an opportunity to improve for a lot of companies. So, it's a good news in these times. So, coming back to Pedro, because it seems that Adela is with technical problems yet. Pedro, in your opinion, what are the concerns of the agricultural sector in the environment matters?
Thank you very much. It's a good question. I think we farmers in general, we have done our homework in general, and of course our homework in environmental issues. Despite the fact that we have recurred to change agriculture, is very worrying for us, because we want to continue producing, and we want to continue warranty the production of food as we know, and we know how to do it. Now we have the strategies Farm to Fork, and also biodiversity strategy 2030 by European Commission. But we can also provide some data. For example, I said you before about sugar beet. Now I want to tell you about tomato. For every ton of tomato, we have reduced 52% the land compared to 1980. We have reduced 12% of water, and we have reduced 31% of water, and we have reduced 12% of energy. So we have demonstrated that we can do more with less, but we wait for example, for efficient irrigation system that we can save water. We are allied with technical against soil erosions and also emissions. For example, sowing, direct sowing machine, cultivation of fences with native flora. We can improve pollination, insects, and biodiversity using, of course, digitalization process, because we are in agriculture, and we can make a precision of inputs to try to spend only what we need, because all the inputs that we use in agriculture are expensive, and we don't want to use more than we need. And of course, nature is important in our farms. It's something that is linked to our business. We work in the nature, so we can take environmental, and we have the trend challenge of the climate change, and also the consumer interest and the consumer. But we have to know that civilization is increasing, population is increasing in the world. And we have to remember that the United Nations has said that population will be 11 billion of people in 2100. So for example, Africa is to rise to population from now. Each Africa has 1 million and 200,000 people, and Africa will have 4,500 billion of people. So we need to producing, because we are going to need to feed a continent like Africa. And I think that European citizens sometimes are very comfortable because we have all the type of products every time of the year with the good prices, very healthy and very fresh. But we have to be solidarity with a continent like Africa. And of course, the environmental issue is fundamental also in our alliance in ALAS.
Thank you, Pedro. I hope we have Adela via mobile. Yes, Adela, you are here. Thank you. Okay, so you agree we are going to go directly to a question that I'm very interested in knowing your answer, and it's about the packaging. Anyways, I think you are an expert. I know you are an expert, and I would like first question to know your opinion about what is the impact of the packaging in the food waste. Adela, please.
Okay, thank you, Eliana. I hope you can hear me now, all right?
Yes, right. Perfect. Great.
Great. So packaging waste, packaging and food waste, those are two things that have been at the forefront of the concern of both the Commission and all the countries and especially now in this pandemic, they have taken new relevance. So what we know about this is that we are kind of rethinking our relationship with packaging. We all know that packaging, especially plastic packaging, is responsible for many environmental impacts, but we also know as food distributors that packaging in general is a very useful tool for retailers to bring fresh food, even in short supply chains, from the producer to the consumer. So we need to do both of those things without compromising either the sustainability of the whole process or the food safety, and without generating food waste, be it either upstream in the supply chain, in the supplier, or in the producer, or in the clients, in the customer's home. So what we are doing is rethinking our relationship with packaging, as I said, and we are doing it via a new strategy that Mercadona has put in place along this year and along part of last year too. We called it Estrategia 625, Strategy 625. Why 625? Main goal has the final horizon of 2025, and because we have 6 actions that we are tackling about packaging to reach these goals. And these goals are 3. First is we want to reduce plastic packaging, by plastic in general, by 25%. We want to make sure that all our own brand packaging is recyclable as much as we can with the technologies that we have right now. I mean, we're not asking for some things that don't exist or that technically are not feasible right now. We want to get grounded in the now and here and make sure that all the packaging that we offer is recyclable at its maximum level. And the third objective is to recycle all the plastic waste that Mercadona produces. We did that to an extent, to about 70% more or less, but we know that there's a remainder of waste streams that are still not yet correctly recycled, and we want to tackle that by that strategy. So as you can see, this strategy, I can go on, I can elaborate on that if you need to, but mainly what we want to do is first reduce the amount of plastic packaging that we use, then recycle, redesign, so to speak. It's more eco-design our product so that its end of life is as good as we can make it. And then we want to make sure that there's a good supply of high quality secondary raw materials, so that recyclers have something to work with and we can recover those materials also for our purposes.
Okay, thank you, Ella. So you are doing a real good job. Thank you. And another question that I would like to address to you: what actions does Mercadona carry out to promote sustainable consumption among foods?
Well, that's a very large question. I mean, it it has to be unpacked a little bit, but what we do mainly is we have a very strong bet. I mean, we have a very strong compromise with fresh produce. Our fresh sections are large, they're varied, and they are very, very centered on local produce. So we know that sustainability is a complicated term. It's a term that has to be taken with a very clear meaning in each occasion. You cannot use it willy nilly as you sometimes. But in this case, what we understand is that the way for us to promote sustainable habits is to produce and to provide sustainable techniques. Mm? So what we are going to do is reinforce our fresh produce sections with fish, poultry, meat, fruits and vegetables, especially short supply chains, local producers whenever it's possible, season produce whenever it's possible. I mean, fish has a season, fruit has a season, vegetables have a season, and we want to offer those things season because that's the best way to consume them. And we also have a large amount of policies. Some of them are very mature, and some of them were already working on them to ensuring as much as possible the sustainability of the supply chain. We have a very mature sustainable fishing policy, and we also are working very intensively in agricultural and cattle fish sustainable policies with our suppliers, so that we can ensure upstream the best techniques that we can provide, so that the produce that arrives, the products that we offer our chiefs, we call them chiefs, not customers, are the best possible.
Great, Adela. So we are on time. We have to finish regrettably this interesting table to continue with the forum program. Sorry very much for the inconvenience. Sorry as well to the audience. Thank you for your brilliant presentations. Thank you. Next, we leave you with a video announcing the nominations for the best awards. This award recognizes brands that have contributed significantly to improving the accessibility and environmental sustainability of consumer products. The finalists have been selected based on their track record in safety, quality, and ecological attributes.